Good morning, and thank you for attending this year's media launch to celebrate Crime Stoppers Month. My name is Mark Madramutu, your host for today's event and the current detective coordinator assigned to the Crime Stoppers program. Before we continue, I would like to read the land acknowledgement for Toronto. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations, Inuit and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I would like to take this time to recognize some of our honored guests in attendance with us today. Honorable Mayor of the City of Toronto, John Tory. Toronto Police Service Acting Deputy Chief, Lauren Pogue. Toronto Police Service Command and personnel, members of the community and stakeholders, our policing partners, and you, the media. Thank you all for your continued support and partnership to the Toronto Crime Stoppers program. At this time, I would like to introduce Honorable Mayor John Tory to share a few words with us.
Well, Detective, thank you, and good morning, everybody. I should tell you, Detective, that when I was a broadcaster, for 5 years I would have been very envious of a voice like yours, and so if you ever get tired of police work, there's probably a career for you there somewhere in the broadcasting business. But I'm just so pleased to be here today with the people that keep Crime Stoppers going, with of course, our Deputy Chief, Pogue, and with the members of the police service, members of the board of Crime Stoppers. I'm proud to tell you that I come to be here honestly because I've been a consistent supporter of this organization back long before I was mayor. I think probably 35 years ago, I was one of those who was helping to raise money for what was then a nascent program. And was proud to do so because, and the same reason I'm proud to be here today, which is because it works. And I'm also equally proud of the fact that independent of me, my son, John, has come to be part of the board and helps this organization, and because he came to believe independently on his own that it works. And if there's one thing I want to be here today to do, in addition to commemorating and celebrating the fact that we're starting Crime Stoppers Month, and in addition to saying congratulations for a job well done, it is to reinforce with people, because they're the ones that make it work together with the hardworking staff and the police service and others, that this is an important program that is just as important a part of community safety and maintaining community safety in Toronto as are other programs that we could talk about. But you know, in the end, the program won't work without the people. It won't work without the people, meaning the citizens who participate and use the program. It won't work without the volunteers who help to keep it going and to raise the money and so forth, and to distribute some of the money that is invested in the community and causes that help to promote community safety. But it also works because of the excellence and the cooperation of the members of the Toronto Police Service who support this program and make it work. The program was established in 1984, and the results speak for themselves. It's 39 years, and over that period of time, the program has received 183,000 tips, 11,600 arrests, 40,000 charges laid, and $318.5 million in illegal drugs being taken off the streets. Those are indications of a program that is successful. And it's an entirely voluntary program for those who choose to make a call or otherwise communicate with Crime Stoppers, but it is an integral part of making sure that we can use every tool available to maintain a safe city here in the City of Toronto, because these are things that are just fundamental to our success, and that's not even to mention an increasing degree to which this program is responsible for taking firearms off the street, because that is a challenge for us. I mean, the police officers here know that, I know that as the mayor, people in the communities know that guns, most of them coming across the border from the United States, and that's a separate issue for another day, but that we, once they're here, have to use every means at our disposal to get those guns off the street, to get them away so that no one would think of carrying them. I mean, I'm stunned, I'm mystified, I'm perplexed, I'm disturbed by the fact that we have instances where there are teenagers carrying guns in their pockets into a school. Like, why would anybody do that? But I guess the first answer to that question is because they have a gun available to them. And if we can start to deal with that in a more effective manner, then that will reduce the chances of that happening. There are many more complex aspects to that that we have to address after that, including aspects of mental health that I think are contributing these days to a lot of the different things we're seeing. You know, I think as well, though, and I want to just reiterate something I talked about earlier this week, in order to make sure we can have the kind of cooperation and partnership that has existed between Crime Stoppers and the police service, we have to make sure the police service itself is adequately resourced. And in the end, you know, there's people who will say, well, we're not doing the right thing by adequately resourcing the police and making sure that their ranks are bolstered to some extent. And I would respond to that simply by saying that if we want to do all the things we're asking police to do, and there are so many, and we're discovering that some of them are going to be perhaps better done by others. I mean, we're deploying mental health professionals now to go out and make more of the calls to people in distress because in some cases that's the proper kind of response. But the only reason the police were responding to those calls before was because they were the only people who could, and they were the only people who were available. And those people were in distress, and they were relying not so much for law enforcement on the police, but they were relying for support and comfort and help when they were in some of the worst hours of their lives. And so I think for us to acknowledge that we have to make sure we support the police with adequate resources in order to keep our community safe is something that we have to do. And I've often said it's a three-legged stool at least, but the three legs are support for the police, responsible support for the police, change the laws in some case to make sure that the legal system and the justice system is operating more effectively in the interest of community safety, and invest in kids and families. And you know, Crime Stoppers is an interesting blend of all of that because it involves, yes, using the police and the citizenry to make sure that acts of criminal activity are reported to the police anonymously, but at the same time it also takes some of the money that it raises and turns around and invests that in programs that are designed to keep people, especially young people, away from criminal activity and to give them other things to do that help to support them and nurture them and make sure that they feel included and supported. And so I'm very proud for my part of that to, yes, be investing lots, and we will continue to invest lots and more in kids and families and neighborhoods and the kinds of programs that will prevent crime and keep people away from crime and address the root causes of crime. But I'm also proud to stand here and say that as part of the overall mission, including that of Crime Stoppers, that we will invest in the coming year in putting 200 more police officers on the streets, because that is going to help to do the job they have to do, including the cooperation that they exercise with Crime Stoppers. And so I will just say again to Crime Stoppers, thank you for being where you are. You know, it's very interesting that when the approach of the program changed to one that was less focused on paying out rewards for tips and more focused on taking the money that was available and investing that in community programs, the number of tips did not drop off. 6,000 people, I think, last year still called in information they thought was helpful, and 10,000 follow-up calls, and that led to all kinds of arrests and firearms being seized and so on that helped to contribute to a safer community. And so it showed not only was Crime Stoppers very capable and very appropriate in the way that they received this information from the public anonymously and in a way that they could be trusted, but it also showed an interest on the part of the community in being engaged themselves, not leaving it all to the police or leaving it all to the government, but rather people themselves understood their own responsibility to support community safety in every way they could. I'm pleased to be able to tell you, and I'm sure you know this, and others here have actually made arrangements for this. The CN Tower will be illuminated red and white tonight to honor the commitment of Crime Stoppers to community safety in our city and to honor January as Crime Stoppers Month. And so I just want to conclude by saying again, thank you for all that you do to all of the volunteers, all of the board members, the staff, a very tiny but mighty team, and to the members of the Toronto Police Service who make this program work on the opposite side of the partnership, and quite frankly, to the people who phone in the tips and who use this without any notion that they'll be rewarded. They do it because they know it is an investment on their part in the safety of their own community and the well-being of what is still one of the safest cities in the world. What we want to do is make sure we keep it that way. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mayor Tory, thank you for your kind words. At this time, I would like to invite Acting Deputy Chief Lauren Pogue to share her remarks.
Toronto Crime Stoppers is a valuable partnership between the police, the community, and the media, which enables concerned members of the public to provide information about criminal activity anonymously. This year marks the 39th year of the Toronto Crime Stoppers program, A group of just 8 volunteers operates the program, which is one of the largest in the world. I want to say thank you to all of the volunteers for your continued work, your dedication in helping us make our streets a safer place to live, to work, and to play. As we begin the new year, the theme for Crime Stoppers in 2023 is Stand Up, Stand Together. We stand up and we stand together for safe communities and the fight against criminal activity. The people of Toronto helped make 2022 a record-setting year. The Toronto Crime Stoppers received more than 6,000 tips, resulting in 200 individuals arrested and more than 800 charges laid. Over $1 million in property was seized, and illicit drugs valued at over $1 million were taken off of our streets. 7 homicides were also solved and 89 firearms seized. And as Mayor Tory acknowledged, this is obviously a very, very amazing work that results in greater community safety. The seizures actually represented a 394% increase over last year. So thank you again for helping keep our communities safe. In addition to collecting tips, Toronto Crime Stoppers aims to improve community safety through their Community Reward Program. Successful project initiatives in 2022 included a youth soccer program, Project Winter Warm-Up for those experiencing homelessness, and the Community Signage Program, which serves a dual purpose in the community. This program promotes anonymous reporting of criminal activity, but also sends a message to individuals that if you break the law, the community will take notice. It is not surprising to hear that Toronto Crime Stoppers received several provincial awards, along with a global award for Crime Stoppers International for their community safety initiatives. The Productivity Award, Total Arrest, is presented to the program that had a significant increase in arrests because of anonymous information shared. And their podcast, See It, Say It, Stop It, is another way Crime Stoppers stays connected with its communities. The podcast can be found on 12 platforms and is heard in 26 different countries. So again, on behalf of the Toronto Police Service, I want to thank Crime Stoppers for their partnership with us, which has helped solve many cases and continues to support our efforts in protecting the public and keeping our communities safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Chief Norm Pogue. At this time, the Chair of Toronto Crime Stoppers, Mr. Sean Sporton, will be sharing an overview of the program.
Thank you, Mark. On behalf of the Toronto Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to the members of the Toronto Police Service, our surrounding police partners, our sponsors, the media, and most importantly, to the community who support our program. Mayor Tory, Acting Deputy Chief Pogue, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here today and for your ongoing support. It's very much appreciated. Welcome to the 2023 Crime Stoppers Month launch, which is celebrated annually during the month of February or January around the world. To help celebrate today's launch, the CN Tower, as mentioned, will be illuminated this evening with red and white lights. Our program is honored to have the CN Tower, a legendary Toronto landmark, light up the city skyline in support of Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a community-based charitable organization that is operated and governed by a group of volunteers from the community who make up the board of directors. These individuals are simply concerned citizens and come from varied backgrounds, but all have one common goal, a safer community. Toronto Crime Stoppers recognizes the critical importance partnerships hold in the prevention of crime and the positive impact such collaborative actions can have on protecting the vital interests of the community. Our commitment to community safety with a focus on crime prevention is part of the foundation of what we do at Crime Stoppers, and the hard work continues to have an impact on helping combat criminal activity in the City of Toronto. As we look back on 2022, a number of highlights need to be mentioned. As part of our Community Reward Program, we were able to deploy several initiatives such as the Community Signage Program, Project Winter Warm-Up, and a youth soccer program. Our partnership with the BOLO program continues to evolve with extraordinary success. In April of 2022, the Top 25 Canada's Most Wanted was launched in partnership with the BOLO program, the Toronto Police Service, and various police agencies across Canada. Within hours of the launch, the #1 suspect was arrested. Toronto Crime Stoppers continues to be an award-winning program in 2022. Our program received several awards in the population over 3 million category from both the Ontario Association of Crime Stoppers and International Crime Stoppers. At the provincial level, awards included Special Project Award for Auto Theft Initiative Project Lockdown, the Best Print Feature for our second annual edition Captain Canuck comic book release, and the Marla Moon Memorial Award of Excellence for our program development and community reward initiatives to enhance a safer city. The Global Award from Crime Stoppers International was for the Productivity Award for increased arrests. And lastly, in 2022, Toronto Crime Stoppers had another record-setting year, which further reinforces the direction our program has taken by removing individual reward payouts and replacing them with a program that channels our efforts back into the communities we serve through our community reward program. Of the 6,025 tips, an additional 10,536 follow-up tips received, it resulted in a 90% increase in arrests, 13% increase in charges laid, 113% increase in property seized, and a staggering 394% increase in illegal firearms taken off of our streets. It is clear our program is working. As we look forward to 2023, Toronto Crime Stoppers will continue to find creative ways to generate awareness and stay connected with our community. In the coming weeks and months, we will be announcing additional campaigns and partnerships in our effort to mobilize the community to help build trust and, more importantly, to break the code of silence when it comes to crime and unreported criminal activity. I will conclude by reminding everyone that community safety is a shared responsibility. We must all work together with a collaborative goal to make a difference in the prevention of crime while enhancing the overall safety of the community. Toronto Crime Stoppers is committed to our efforts to mobilize the community to see it, say it, stop it for a safer Toronto. Doing the right thing truly is its own reward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sporton. As we celebrate the program's accolades received in 2022, it would not have been possible without the dedicated efforts of our sponsors and our partners who continue to support the Toronto Crime Stoppers program, sharing the collective effort to achieve overall community safety. The following community and policing partners played a major role in Toronto Crime Stoppers being recognized and awarded: the Provincial Special Project Award for our Auto Theft Initiative Project Lockdown, and the Marla Moon Memorial Award of Excellence for our program development and community reward initiatives to enhance the safety of our city. At this time, I would like to call on Honorable Mayor Tory, Acting Deputy Chief Lauren Pogue, and Mr. Sporton to join me in welcoming the following recipients who will be presented awards to from the Toronto Crime Stoppers for their significant contributions to our program. Lauren Vanspaul, Police Constable from Toronto Police Service. Mr. Amir Atri, Vice President of Central Canada, Garda World. Mr. Jeff Poulin, Regional GTA Director of Garda World. Mr. Jason Lyle, Vice President, Special Markets for Kicks. Yes. Thank you. Just a round of applause again for all of our sponsors and partners. Honorable Mayor Tory, I will call you up to present your award here.
If I'd known it was possible to have two, because I saw the police officer got two. I don't know how she qualified, but it's just extra hard work. I'd have had two scrolls, but it's a small thing, but I hope, Mr. Chair, you will come up and accept on behalf of the board and the entire organization this proclamation, which officially proclaims January as Crime Stoppers Month, and I hope it can go somewhere to the offices or to the office of a great volunteer to be just, again, a sign of the respect and support that the city has, myself as mayor and the entire city council and the city government, for the work that you do, and all the people of the city of Toronto too. So this is just our formal way of saying thank you, and it comes with all good wishes for future success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.